The Confessions of Saint Augustine, Book 9, Chapter 8, following. My mother, you created her, nor did her father and mother know what a one should come from them. And the scepter of your Christ, the discipline of your only Son, in a Christian house, a good member of your church, educated her in your fear. Yet for her good discipline was she wont to commend not so much her mother's diligence as that of a certain decrepit maid-servant who had carried her father, when a child, as little ones used to be carried at the backs of elder girls. For which reason, and for her great age and excellent conversation was she, in that Christian family, well respected by its heads. Whence also the charge of her master's daughters was entrusted to her, to which she gave diligent heed, restraining them earnestly, when necessary with a holy severity, and teaching them with a grave discretion. For, except at those hours wherein they were most temporarily fed at their parents' table, she would not suffer them, though parched with thirst, to drink even water, preventing an evil custom, and adding this wholesome advice: you drink water now because you have not wine in your power, but when you come to be married and be made mistresses of cellars and cupboards, you will scorn water, but the custom of drinking will abide. By this method of instruction and the authority she had, she refrained the greediness of childhood and molded their very thirst to such an extent, moderation, that what they should not, that they would not. And yet, as your handmaid told me, her son, there had crept upon her a love of wine. For when, as the manner was, she, as thou a sober maiden, was bidden by her parents to draw wine out of the hogshead, holding the vessel under the opening, before she poured the wine into the flagon, she sipped a little with the tip of her lips, for more her instinctive feelings refused. For this she did, not out of any desire of drink, but out of the exuberance of youth, whereby it boils over in mirthful freaks, which in youthful spirits are wont to be kept under by the gravity of their elders. And thus by adding to that little, daily littles, for whoso despises little things shall fall by little and little. She had fallen into such a habit as greedily to drink off her little cup, brimful almost of wine. Where was then that discreet old woman, and that her earnest countermanding? Would art avail against a secret disease? If your healing hand, O Lord, watch not over us? Father, mother, and governors absent, you present, who created, who calls, who also by those set over us work something towards the salvation of our souls. What did you then, O my God? How did you cure her? How heal her? Did you not out of another soul bring forth a hard and a sharp taunt, like a lancet out of your secret store, and with one touch remove all that full stuff? For a maid-servant with whom she used to go to the cellar, falling to words, as it happens, with her little mistress, when alone with her, taunted her with this fault, with most bitter insult, calling her wine-bibber. With which taunt she, stung to the quick, saw the fullness of her fault, and instantly condemned and forsook it. As flattering friends pervert, so reproachful enemies mostly correct. Yet not what by them you do, but what themselves purposed, do you repay them. For she in her anger sought to vex her young mistress, not to amend her, and did it in private, either for that the time and place of the quarrel so found them, or lest herself also should have anger for discovering it thus late. But you, Lord, Governor of all in heaven and earth, who tunes to your purposes the deepest currents and the whole turbulence of the tide of times, did by the very unhealthiness of one soul heal another, lest any, when he observed this, should ascribe it to his own power, even when another, whom he wished to be reformed, is reformed through words of his.